Before I start the talk, I'd just like a quick show of hands. Out of everyone in the audience, who is currently building on the OLAS framework? Okay, next question. Who has thought or has a view on the economics of agent interactions? So either multi-agent systems or human-to-agent, and the economics layer and how the actual monetization of those transactions is going to be orchestrated. The reason I ask the question is our view at Nevermind is what we're seeing in the space now is an explosion of interest in agent development. That's all people are talking about. But you hear very little conversation about payments or monetization. And our thesis is in the next 6 to 12 months, as we actually move towards building usable agents rather than just experimenting, pretty soon builders are going to get tired of underwriting the cost of those agents, and they're going to want to pass those costs in the form of payments onto their users, whether those users are other agents or humans themselves. So Nevermind is an AI monetization engine for agents. And we're focused purely on helping builders get paid for the agents that they're developing. I'm going to go through a little example now. Nevermind is integrated into the OLAS stack, so we're one of the main payment partners of choice. If you're building on the OLAS payment stack, you can easily integrate Nevermind and monetize your agents that way. A little bit of background about myself. I'm Chief of Staff at Nevermind. I've been with the company about a year. I've been in the crypto space for 4 years. Previous to Nevermind, I was a venture investor at Spaceship DAO, which is a sister DAO of the Lao and Flamingo, that are investment DAOs, part of the Tribute Labs network of DAOs, if anyone is familiar with Tribute Labs. Previous to crypto, I did a bunch of stuff at investment banks, worked on trading floors for about a decade. Nevermind has a vision for the AI agent space. We think that we're in the process of seeing the rise of a new market, which we're terming AI commerce. And AI commerce will be characterized as a market with not just thousands, but trillions of agents. And with that in mind, how those agents interact is going to be like a crucial piece of figuring out, how this economy is going to function and work efficiently. So Nevermind we've coined the term AI commerce. And we see ourselves as kind of the PayPal for the AI agent space, and we assert a view that there is room for a modular payment integration that is independent to the actual AI agent frameworks themselves, and can work across independent environments. There's a lot of AI frameworks that we're seeing developed in the market. And we want to be the payment integration that will help somewhat with orchestration, but specifically with the payment interaction between agents in different ecosystems. Autumn last year, the AI 16Z guys, some of you may have seen this. For those of you who haven't, we're just going to play a little 2-minute clip of a video, because this really validates the use case that I'm going to take you through afterwards. Can we put the video on, please? Thanks.
And actually, I'll just give one more example to make sure people kind of see the potential here. So you mentioned the solar. Actually, let's go through this in more detail, just to make sure people really get this. So describe the solar thing that you were saying.
Actually, there are companies doing this now in crypto, but they're and the right technology for it, because you then have, okay, I want to buy some energy, I can buy it from you. There's now a marketplace for energy on this decentralized infrastructure, decentralized physical infrastructure, and I can buy energy when I need it, and I can sell it when I don't, and then we don't need all these centralized power grids. Everybody's got a power grid in their house, and we can all share energy and so forth. So it's a a huge breakthrough in kind of clean tech and in more efficient energy and in kind of more reliable energy. But there has to be a way that my power grid can pay your power grid for energy when I need energy. And, crypto is a mechanism, and there are,
Yeah, and so let's hypothesize like what you could do on top of that then with AI, right? Which is so a problem with the kind of system you're describing is like, okay, there's all these, the power grid is like really complicated, right? And so there's all these like questions about like, where does supply come from? Where does demand come from? Timing, geographic location, weather patterns.
The market matching, right? Sure.
Market matching, actually having this work. And then there's a question of like, okay, you could just take the world as it is and just like have people volunteer their solar panels, but it also raises the question of like, okay, like you could gather up the information to know that there's actually like unmet need for energy at a certain location, and then you might want to actually raise money and deploy more solar panels.
Yeah.
Right. Because you would know you're getting paid, right? And so and a great way to analyze all the current data and to make all these kinds of predictions about where in the future there should be more solar deployed is you feed it to an AI and you let it do its thing, right? You feed it to something that does machine learning and figures this out. And so which is how leading edge energy companies work. And so so you could I think you could very easily imagine an AI bot that's basically watching the flow of all of this data that's coming across through a system like the one that you described, and then basically saying, oh, okay, there's an opportunity if we put $500,000 of solar panels in this part of North Carolina, therefore we'd automatically, that's a profitable project, and that would solve this problem here and reduce emissions that much, but we need to do it in this location, not some other location.
But this coordination has to have an economic component, and it's got to have an intelligence component, and that combination of AI and crypto kind of enables all the kind of individuals to get the benefits of their work, and have society be coordinated in a better way. So it's a really, really kind of promising path. And by the way, the biggest inhibitor, the only thing that's going to stop it is bad policy.
Okay, so what Ben and Mark were really getting at there was they're talking about exploiting under efficiency in energy markets and effectively leveraging crypto and deepening networks to facilitate that. So I think that's tremendous validation for what we're doing in our space, and specifically with relevance to emerging deepening networks. I'm going to take you through an example which is tangential to what they were getting at in that podcast. In Germanic energy markets, there's a weird quirk with if you're a smallholder solar energy producer, really the purpose of that is to run your own solar, but also monetize the oversupply when you sell it to the network. But in periods of oversupply, people are actually paying to dispose of power to the network. It seems kind of strange, but this is a reality. So the idea here is that can you use an agent that can monitor and predict when those periods of oversupply might occur, and turn on an HVAC system to exhaust the energy that would otherwise be disposed into the network, and that way waive the cost that you would actually pay to the grid for disposing through the grid. In this example, we use Combinder, which is a deepin built on the Peaq network that provides a series of energy APIs and historical production data. OLAS is employed as a MEC agent that will basically like orchestrate access and request data from the Combinder Energy API and take decisions as to whether or not to turn on or on the HVAC system, having made predictions about whether or not we're about to enter a period of oversupply. Just one point of note, with Nevermind, there's a lot of flexibility in the way payments are orchestrated. We've actually deliberately adopted a credit-based architecture. So if you wrap an agent endpoint with the Nevermind protocol, you issue a specific unique fuel currency against that agent. And we like this architecture because it basically creates a degree of separation between the redemption currency for accessing the agent or the gated endpoint, and the actual currency used, the onboarding currency used to acquire those credits. There's lots of really good reasons why this is a better architecture. I'm very happy to talk about that with folks afterwards if they want to discuss, but we have a long-run vision of multi-agent interaction that's what we call universal bartering. So universal bartering is a paradigm where we expect agents to no longer trade through an intermediary currency or a unit of account, whether that be USDC or ETH or another base chain native currency, and they would just swap IOUs against one another. So if each of us in this room have our own agent, we each have our own unique redeemable credit against each agent, and we would actually trade arm's length on a barter basis, IOUs against one another, which are unique tokens that are uniquely redeemable against our agent services. So this can only be done if you're issuing unique fungible credit for each individual agent. So in this case, payments are effected in Peaq, which is the onboarding currency to acquire credits, but the actual Combinder agent itself, once registered with Nevermind, will have a unique credit against it. So let's just have a look at the architecture for this illustrative use case. On the top right here, you just see a typical residential solar power setup. Bottom right is an HVAC system. Bottom left is the OLAS MEC-based agent. So like the flow of events here is the OLAS agent is able to instruct the HVAC system having taken decisions based on data that it's sourcing from the Combinder API. The Combinder API on the top left there, that's a protected endpoint that's protected and gated by Nevermind. The OLAS agent can request data from the Combinder data API, and it pays for that in Peaq. Peaq, as I mentioned, is a deep-in network, if anyone's familiar with that. And Combinder is a energy API, which is available on the Peaq network. So it's really very simple. The OLAS agent makes autonomous periodic requests for data, samples that data, and make some predictive analysis as to whether or not we are entering a period of energy oversupply or not. And in the case that it's predicting a period of oversupply, the HVAC system will be turned on so that the energy is exhausted and doesn't go into the grid, thereby saving the smallholder energy producer significant, capital. That's really it. If anyone wants to talk generally about payments and the vision for how agents are going to transact at scale in large multi-agent systems, or with illustrative examples like this, whether in the energy markets or other use cases, feel free to grab me, and very happy to ideate on our vision for payments and economics, because I think whilst it's something that's not being heavily discussed at the minute, because we're much more focused on orchestration and experimentation, and everything we've seen in the crypto markets in the last few months is primarily experimentation with siloed agents, and even some of the biggest agent platforms in the space we've seen, like AI16Z, the ELIZA framework, the guys at Virtuals, we don't see a lot of cross-agent interaction at the minute. In fact, I would go as far as to say there's pretty much none. So we're at the forefront of working with these protocols and helping them figure out when agents become A, more interactive, and B, actually there's a emergence of a willingness to pay from transacting agents, then Nevermind is there as the glue to bind all of that together. So happy to discuss that with anyone afterwards. Thanks.